I'm tagging back to this comment so that it goes back to the original video. But, you know, I love the love, so I love my big cat. Sorry, my mind's gonna go there whether I wanted to or not. What's good, y'all? Lonnie Appleton here. If you have a couple of minutes, I am here contemplating on parenting our children. More specifically, our teenagers. A little bit of history. I was at the barbershop, you know, the black therapist. I was at the barbershop and I was talking to one of the barbers, and he told me the best advice that I could give anyone raising a child is to give them freedom while they're still inside of your home. He said his mother was so strict that once he turned 18, he went crazy and he didn't really have his mom to go back to and ask questions because at that point he's a grown man. What grown man is going back to ask their mama how to navigate life? Their ego alone is going to prevent them from going back and saying, hey mom, I know I've never talked to you about life before, but I want to start talking to you now. So you have already closed off communication between you and your child if you think that communication is going to start once they need the communication, once you feel they need the communication. But they needed that communication from birth to death. So anyhow, I went home and I applied that advice with my daughter. I was like, this trying to keep a chokehold around her ain't working. Let me try the other way. And we have been wildly successful in my opinion. Is my daughter doing things that I don't approve of? Heck yeah. But it's not for me to 100% approve of her life. It's for me to 100% support her choices and help her navigate those choices. And I get it if she's making wrong choices, correcting those actions, or giving her the information to help her correct the actions, honestly. Because if I come from a place of forcing her to change a behavior, we already know what's gonna happen. She's gonna dig deeper into that behavior, or she's gonna learn how to hide that behavior better. So it's my job to be involved as much as possible as she allows me to be in her life and to support her through the choices that she makes. Long ass history to say, I'm pretty sure 99% of us have struggled from 18 to whenever the struggle ended. For some of us, we're still struggling. And I want you to think about this because this is what I just thought about. How much is thrown at us at the age of 18? Pretty much adulting begins. So not only do we have to figure out how to adult, we also have to figure out who the hell we are. But if we lived in a household where we weren't allowed to even think for ourselves because every time we tried to have an independent thought, we got shut down. We got told that our thoughts and ideas were stupid. We got told under my roof, no. Once you get out, sure. So we don't even know how to think for ourselves because our parents, unbeknownst to them, shut our brains off, shut our individuality off. So now we're dealing with all of that life is throwing at us, plus trying to figure out who we are. The point is, let them learn at home. Adulting is hard enough. Yeah, so he said it also can create resentment within their own community, and it can. You know, my kid who has lived a stark white existence is now exhibiting behaviors that are affiliated with the black culture, and I got a problem with that. Therefore, I have a problem with my kid. And I don't have a problem with my kids, so to speak. I just have a problem with them embracing a culture that I have mentally told myself that I dislike. I don't know shit about the culture for real, only the crap they show me on TV and the lies they told me in school books. But based on that, and the fact that they told me we're supposed to be mortal enemies, I got a problem with y'all. But the truth is, a lot of the stuff y'all do, black people, is dope as we are trendsetters. And I can understand the appropriation because we're cool. So anyway, I can see how, because Dre made the comment, we were sitting next to a white person who was listening to black music, and he was like, he thinks that's funny when he sees them listening to our music. And I said, because they have appropriated or assimilated or acclimated or whatever the aided is, identified, but that ain't aided, that's eyed. But anyway, he done got me off of my Jesse Jackson, but hold on. What I'm saying is, because of that, that opened up space for not the black person, but the black culture. Because people who appropriate black culture don't necessarily vibe with black people. Just because you sit on the black does not make you an ally. And that's something I realized, I think, during the George Floyd situation. I don't want to be disrespectful with my language, but when George Floyd died, that's when I realized just because you sit on black does not make you an ally. And I think that was a bar. But anyway, but also on the other side of, because if you look at ads, me growing up, ads were staunch, straight white guy, khakis with the loafers, stick up the ass type, just boring. Ads in 2023 are full of black culture appropriation. And now black colloquialisms, blackisms of whatever. I don't have the language, but you know what I'm saying. I'm making points and you just don't understand. Don't put your limitations on me. Just because you don't understand and you don't see the world that I see, it does not mean I sound crazy. It just means I'm saying something you don't understand.
I understand what you're saying. The word that you just used.
Oh, my language. It's a word somewhere. But what I'm saying is our culture is accepted, but the people aren't. And we got to get that other part. But the cultural acceptance is a win. I am still on the kicking the kids out at 18 kick. We just gonna be kicking today. Y'all ready to kick it? What's good, John Lonnie Appleton? If you have a couple of minutes, I have a couple of messages. I want to impress upon us that we need to rethink kicking our kids out the nest at 18. We already know their brain isn't developed enough to handle it. We already know what we experienced when we got kicked out at 18. We already know our own personal struggle. But I don't know what happens between being a kid and raising a kid that we forget everything traumatic we went through. And then we reverse that trauma on our own children. But we think we're doing it better because it's our version of trauma. And I get it, it's part of the black experience. And so we don't know that there's something to be corrected there. Because when we talk to everybody, everybody's been through it. We've all been traumatized and we can laugh about it because we have learned to laugh through our pain. But it's time for us to start addressing our pain. It's time for us to start correcting our pain instead of living and festering and replicating our pain on the next generation. All right, so we have to really start thinking about community. And our community starts in our homes. Now think about it. We have 2 adult children. I don't know why I held up 3. We have 2 adult children and Bailey's on her way. Each of our children are paying at least $1,000 in bills a month. Now this is a fiscal perspective. We have our household, they have their 2 households. Now we have $3,000 potentially that can go towards one large household that we all can live in. A $3,000 house is gonna get us at least enough square footage where we ain't sitting on top of each other. And if we add more money, now we can start buying land. We can start buying space. We could start pooling all of our money. And I always heard back in the day, you know, other cultures come to America and they live together and they're uncomfortable for a couple of years and then they off buying mansions and they off doing all these different things because they stayed together and built that community. Now I'm not saying how it functioned inside of their home or that space that they were all living in. I'm not saying it was peaches and cream, but what I'm saying is we are stronger together than apart. So we go kick our kids out to struggle. They can't pay their bills and we get mad when they gotta come back home because they can't get their footing, but who really supported them in getting their footing? They call and check in and say they're doing okay and we're like, okay. But in reality, your child is out doing whatever they gotta do to survive, which is part of the trap. So we're actually a part of the trap by kicking our kids out. We're struggling. And for some reason we think kicking our adult kid out who can actually help contribute to the financial struggle instead of we're thinking they're a part of the financial struggle. But if you got an adult child who you're still financially supporting, that's a whole nother conversation. I'm telling y'all, this how we gonna get our 40 acres. I don't know about the mule. Can I exchange that for some farming equipment?